who is on and who is not on President-elect Donald Trump's foreign policy and national security team. It's a big deal. Not all of them have been decided, but those that have been decided, are they good? Are they bad? How should we feel about them as conservatives, as evangelicals? Hi, this is Joel Rosenberg with a YouTube exclusive for the Rosenberg Report. Now, I'm very encouraged. I'm just going to front load this. I'm super encouraged by who President-elect Donald Trump has appointed so far. But that being said, there was a moment a few days ago that I was a little shaken. I was a little shocked when Trump announced on his social media platform, Truth Social, that Mike Pompeo, the former Secretary of State, the former CIA director, would not be appointed to a cabinet position. Now, why did that bother me? It did bother me a little bit. It saddened me, but it really mostly surprised me because Pompeo was an incredibly effective CIA director and Secretary of State for Donald Trump. They worked super closely together, and I haven't heard Trump say a negative word about Mike Pompeo. Tucker Carlson sort of went on a rampage against Pompeo publicly as well as behind the scenes. And there are reports that Donald Trump Jr. is quite against Mike Pompeo. There are reasons that they have and that they've stated, but I just want to say those reasons didn't entirely make sense to me. Obviously, they must, if those were the two that affected Trump's view, then obviously they had quite an effect. Mike Pompeo is probably more supportive of standing with Ukraine than Tucker Carlson, for sure. But Trump is not against standing with Ukraine, so that was a curiosity. But the main issue to me was not the specifics of why Pompeo was out, but the fact that someone so loyal to Trump and so effective in the past on Trump's national security team wouldn't be involved at all. I thought Trump would appoint Pompeo probably to Secretary of Defense. And so with Trump deciding not to do that, I thought, okay, does this signal a different direction? Because Tucker Carlson, while widely loved among many on the right wing, is not particularly pro-Israel. He's been very critical of Israel. He's been very critical of U.S. policy towards standing with the Ukrainians in this fight to save their country. And Tucker Carlson seemed a little too close to Vladimir Putin, in my view. So I wondered, and there'd been a conversation here in Israel in the last week or two, who has Donald Trump's ear when it comes to national security? Is it Tucker Carlson or is it Mike Pompeo? And then suddenly the question got answered. It's not Mike Pompeo. But it didn't prove out that Trump was not going to be appointing solid pro-Israel people or people that were solidly against the Iranian regime or people that weren't evangelicals. Right? So, and that's what makes this, the last few days so dramatic, okay? And I want to walk you through some of these appointments because, as I say, I'm very encouraged. Disappointed about Pompeo, but the people that Trump is appointing are so good. I feel so encouraged by the dramatic change in direction from the Biden-Harris team, which were horrible. They were a disaster. And they were humiliating, whether it was, the Afghan, government collapse or not standing firmly every day, super close to Israel and being weak on Iran, okay? That was Biden-Harris. Trump has, in the campaign, super strong on all those issues. Now the question is, how does he staff his government? How does he put in people around him that will reflect the policies that he campaigned on in the last year or so? So let's walk through these incredibly encouraging people. So first, who did Trump put in the nomination to be the Secretary of Defense if it's not Pompeo? Pete Hegseth. Now, some of you will be like, Pete who? But Pete Hegseth is a fantastic choice. He will be the Secretary of Defense. He is a devout evangelical Christian. He served in the U.S. military, in the Army for 20 years. He served in Afghanistan. He served in Iraq. He has won numerous medals of valor for his service to the American people and the American military. He has been an incredibly effective and smart commentator on Fox News about U.S. foreign policy, about U.S. national security and military policy. What's more, Hegseth is a bright guy. He's a Princeton graduate. He got his master's degree from Harvard University. Sometimes you think, all right, well, he may be smart, but why would he go to those woke schools? They weren't as woke then when he went. Okay, things have changed obviously now. But Hegseth is a smart guy. What's more, he's a Fox News analyst. He's already getting all kinds of criticism. Oh, he's just a television talking head. He doesn't know. He spent 20 years in the U.S. military. He wrote a #1 New York Times best-selling book about the American military, how badly funded it was under Obama and Biden, and then under Biden and Harris, but also about the crazy woke ideology that has infected much of the U.S. Pentagon and the defense security system that has nothing to do with keeping the country safe. So, but he's also very articulate. He knows how to make the case, and Trump is looking for someone who is not just good on the policies. Hegseth is tough on Iran. Okay, he's been tough on Russia. He's been tough on communist China. He's warning that we can't let the communist Chinese take over the Pacific, invade Taiwan, something I write about in my upcoming novel, The Beijing Betrayal. We won't get into that now. And Hegseth is an evangelical Christian, super smart, served in the military, and loves Israel, and has been very clear about what changes he believes are necessary in the military today. And he can make the case on television, on radio, and around the world. So I think it's a fantastic choice. But first, I want to say that in Israel's darkest hour, a lot of people are asking me, how can we help? How can we support Israel in its time of greatest need and be part of that biblical mandate found in Genesis chapter 12, verse 3, where God is speaking of blessing those who bless the people of Israel, the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Well, a great way to do it is to partner with our sponsor of today's edition of the Rosenberg Report, ARTSA. Go to artsabox.com. Use the discount promo code RR15, Rosenberg Report 15, to get a 15% discount off the price of your ARTSA box. They are literally a taste of the Holy Land, and they come directly to your home in a beautiful box that contains potpourri, a range of all kinds of products made in Israel by all kinds of Israeli artisans, entrepreneurs, and small business owners. You're going to love them for yourself, for your family, and they make great gifts as well. Check it out. Go to artsabox.com, use the discount code RR15, Rosenberg Report 15, and I have no doubt that you'll love these boxes, these ARTSA boxes, as much as Lynn and I do. Let's now talk about the National Security Advisor. Mike Waltz is a congressman who is an expert on U.S. national security and pro-Israel and good on all the issues, on Israel, Iran, China, Russia. I don't see anything, nothing I've seen so far gives me any pause that Mike Waltz is not going to be a fantastic national security advisor. What about Israel? Who's going to be the new U.S. ambassador to Israel? Well, we talk about this on the show, the Rosenberg Report this week, but let's just take a little more time on this. Mike Huckabee has just been appointed to be Trump's ambassador to Israel. This is historic. Why is this so good? It's historic because Mike Huckabee is a devout evangelical Christian who absolutely loves Israel. I mean, you can't find a more influential, more famous, more outspoken defender of the U.S.-Israel relationship, a defender of Israel and the Jewish people against the avalanche of lies that have been coming against us for this past year plus since October 7th. Mike Huckabee is the first openly, unabashedly, proudly pro-Israel evangelical Christian to ever be appointed into this position. Now, I'm sure people who believe in Jesus have been appointed in the past to be ambassador. I don't know, I didn't really drill into the history, but nobody who's been an ordained Southern Baptist pastor, nobody who has been the #1 talk show host on TBN, Trinity Broadcasting Network, for years, who had his own show. Unfortunately, he's going to have to give that up to become the ambassador. Mike Huckabee, is the leading voice on America's #1 most watched Christian television network. This is unique. For the last 20 years or so, every ambassador that an American president has appointed to Israel has been Jewish. Donald Trump, in 2016, of course, appointed David Friedman, Orthodox Jewish, longtime business associate, business lawyer for Trump. Trump and David Friedman knew each other super well, and they had trust. And Friedman turned out to be the single best U.S. ambassador to Israel in history. Number two is not even close, okay? So Mike Huckabee has some big shoes to fill, but I think he can do it. And David Friedman immediately put out on social media, on X, for example, his praise of Mike Huckabee, that he will be a great ambassador. And it really is a dramatic development. Again, outspoken Christian, as well as somebody who's not Jewish. And again, as a Jewish person, I would love it if Trump wanted to appoint a really good, solid, pro-Israel Jewish person. But the fact that Trump is appointing such a prominent evangelical Christian, one who serves with me on the All Israel News Advisory Board, for example, one who co-hosted the first evangelical leadership delegation to come to Israel after the October 7th invasion and massacres. Huckabee is close to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. They've been close for many years. Huckabee has been here to Israel more than 100 times in his life. He started going more than 50 years ago, or coming here more than 50 years ago. So his faith in Christ and his love for Israel and the Jewish people is known and respected, and is being praised in recent days on social media all over the place by Jewish leaders, by evangelical leaders, and by Israeli leaders. In fact, when Huckabee and I co-led this delegation in December to bring a number of very prominent evangelical leaders to come and stand with Israel on what we called a solidarity mission, we not only met privately with Netanyahu, we also met with Israeli hostage families. We got to hear their stories and pray together. We met with Israeli Christians. We met with Palestinian Christians. We traveled down to the border of Gaza, went walking through Kfar Aza, one of the most terribly savaged and destroyed and attacked Israeli agricultural communities known as a kibbutz, right there in the Gaza border. The former ambassador of Israel to the United Nations, Danny Danon, who now is the new ambassador to the United Nations. He's there again in that position. He was our host as we went through Kfar Aza, walking through those blood-soaked floors and the bullet-ridden buildings and the homes that were torched by Hamas demon-possessed terrorists who were burning Jews alive. It was Mike Huckabee and I that wanted to walk through there and bring these evangelicals and bring media to see it, to be eyewitnesses, and to be able to report back to Christians in the United States and Canada and around the world what had really happened. This is Mike Huckabee. It's really astonishing, and it's a testimony, I think, Trump appointing Huckabee, it's a testimony to the value that Trump places on the 60 million evangelical Christians in the United States, the vast majority of whom love Israel deeply and love the Jewish people deeply, and will stand with Israel through thick and thin. And we've just never seen an American president decide to choose a high-profile evangelical to play this critical diplomatic role. And I'm just, let's just say, super jazzed to see Huckabee coming, and I look forward to welcoming him as he takes off his TBN hat and puts on the U.S. ambassador hat. A few more, okay? This is going a little bit longer than I intended, but that's the beauty of a YouTube exclusive. We can spend some time on some issues that we don't have always time on the Rosenberg Report on Thursday nights and Saturday nights. So what happens? Like the UN position, like who's the new U.S. ambassador to the UN? Nikki Haley did a fabulous job. She was just phenomenal. After her, Kelly Craft was the next ambassador, appointed by Trump to serve at the UN, and both of them did a very, very, very good job. I don't agree with Nikki Haley on everything, and obviously Nikki Haley and Trump went head-to-head, mano a mano, during the Republican primary. So it's not surprising at all that Nikki Haley didn't get appointed into the cabinet, right? The Trump cabinet. Like, she had really savaged Trump, and he had savaged her during the primary. So it's not surprising at all. But the question then became, well, who would be the U.S. ambassador to the UN? And the answer is super pro-Israel, super conservative New York Congresswoman Elise Stefanik. And she serves on the House Foreign Affairs Committee. She's got experience in foreign affairs. She's got experience in intelligence. And she's been a tough defender of Israel and a tough defender of the Jewish people against anti-Semitism. It was Elise Stefanik who grilled the presidents of the major Ivy League universities. Why are you allowing anti-Semitism to run rampant, anti-Israel attacks to go run rampant on your campuses? Why are you doing this? And these Ivy League professors, Harvard, Columbia, whatever, they couldn't answer, or their answers were ridiculous. And Elise Stefanik really acted like a prosecutor, and she was right. And we were cheering from here in Jerusalem, I'll tell you that much. She's going to be a fantastic voice for the United States at the UN. She's good on Iran, she's good on China, she's good on Russia, and she's great on Israel. So that's a fantastic choice. Now, a few other pieces, but let's just end with this one, I think, for now. Secretary of State, okay? As I record this, Trump has not formally made an announcement who is going to be his nomination to be the next Secretary of State. But all the leaks coming out of the Trump campaign, or the Trump transition team really now, is that Florida Senator Marco Rubio is going to get this position. Now, again, I can't confirm that right now, so I want to be clear. If you're watching this and it's been confirmed, wonderful. But it's possible that Trump will make a last-minute change. But let's evaluate for a moment if it's Marco Rubio. Now, I know Marco Rubio, not quite as well as I know Mike Huckabee, not nearly as well. But I got to know Marco Rubio back in the 2016 campaign when he ran in the Republican primaries and did really, really well. Obviously, Trump beat him. Since they went head-to-head in the Republican primaries of 2016, Marco Rubio has built a very good, healthy, strong relationship with Donald Trump. And Trump invited Marco Rubio to travel around the country, especially to swing states in the 2024 campaign that just ended, to campaign for him. Marco Rubio, if he's appointed, is an evangelical Christian. I mean, well, just to be clear, he's evangelical whether he gets appointed or not as Secretary of State, but he is an evangelical, and that would be an incredible position of influence for an evangelical Christian to be in. Pompeo was an evangelical as Secretary of State, but very few other Secretaries of State have been outspoken in their love for Jesus Christ, their love for the Scriptures, as well as their love for Israel and the Jewish people. Like, that is not the normal way. Pompeo was that way, but certainly Tony Blinken, that was not him. So Pompeo out, Marco Rubio might be in. If he is, again, he's super pro-Israel. He's strong on Iran. That's where he and I began to get to know each other, when I heard him beginning to talk about the Iranian regime as apocalyptic in their end-time theology and dangerous, because if they get nuclear weapons, they're going to try to use them. And that's what makes them very, very dangerous, and why we have to stop the Iranian regime. So Marco Rubio gets it, not just from a geopolitical analysis, but he actually is listening to and studying what the leaders of Iran at the highest levels, not the mid-level people, and not the people, but the highest level, the supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, and his inner circle, these people are dangerous because they're trying to bring about the end of the world. They have an apocalyptic eschatology or end-time theology. And Marco Rubio has spoken openly about this and clearly about this, and he's right. He is an evangelical Christian. He's also Latino. He's Cuban. And this would be the highest ranking Latino ever to serve in the U.S. government. So that would be a big deal also, and I'd love to see it. But we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see who Trump actually picks. But that's an incredibly strong national security team. I wanted to sort of take a little bit more of a deep dive and walk you through this so you knew some of the players and you knew why I'm so supportive. We'll, of course, be covering this more on the Rosenberg Report. We will be reporting more on All Israel News, and we're going to keep a very close eye on the rest of the appointments that Trump makes, as well as these particular appointments, and we'll be giving you more background on who these people are and why I think you should feel encouraged as an evangelical, as a conservative, that Trump is making choices that honestly are astonishing me. I mean, I expected good, but these are great. This is Joel Rosenberg in Jerusalem for a YouTube exclusive for the Rosenberg Report.